Lesson 62, square root and higher order roots. So in a radical, this part is called the radicand. And the number in here is the index. Now in a square root, we don't have a number in there. We don't write it down, but there is a number which is 2. Square root is for 2. But because that's the smallest, we don't write it down. So in this case, for example, that we have the square root of 25, what it's asking is which number multiplied by itself 2 times, the number on the index 2 times, gives me the radicand 25. And so the answer would be 5. We will do more examples, but you do have to memorize these ones that are here on the screen. So write them down and memorize them. Now you know most of them. You probably know at least half of them. And then the other ones are really easy. Let's just write them down. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Remember, what we're asking is which number multiplied by itself 2 times gives me the number inside. Now the square root of 121 is 11 because 11 squared is 121. The square root of 144 is 12. The square root of 169 is 13. The square root of 196 is 14. Now notice this is very fun because the 69 and the 96 is backwards. So it's very easy to remember. The square root of 225 is 15. Of 256 is 16. 289 is 17. Square root of 324 is 18. Square root of 361 is 19. And the square root of 400 is 20. So very, very simple. Okay, so make sure you memorize these. This will make your life a lot easier. Let's look at this example. It says, without using a calculator, determine between what 2 consecutive integers these numbers lie. So the square root of 10, what we have to think about is where is it? So we have here the square root of 1, which is 1. Then we have the square root of 4, which is 2. The square root of 9, which is 3. The square root of 16, which is 4. The square root of 25, which is 5, and so on. If I have to locate where the square root of 10 is, it's somewhere here. That's where the square root of 10 is. So I can say that the square root of 10 is between 3 and 4. And that's how we're going to put it. For the next one, we have the square root of 38. So we'll continue here. The square root of 36, which is 6. Square root of 49, which is 7. And again, then it's easy to see that 38 is somewhere here because it's between square root of 36 and square root of 49. So the 2 numbers are 6 and 7. Those are the 2 integers, consecutive integers. Now for 76, the square root of 76, we have to start counting a little bit higher. So we'll do square root of 64, which is 8, and the square root of 81, which is 9, and the square root of 100, which is 10. In this case, the square root of 76 is somewhere here. So it's a number between 8 and 9. And that's it, very simple. Now we're going to look at higher order roots, which means roots that have a higher index greater than 2. So for example, the cubic root, or the 4th root, or the 5th root. Now the question is the same, but looking at the index. So here the question is, which number multiplied by itself 3 times gives me 8? And so we just have to start thinking. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, what about 2? 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8. That's my answer. Okay, let's do the next one. 125, the cubic root of 125. 2 times 2 times 2, we already know is 8. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. 5 times 5, 25 times 5, 125. So the answer is 5. Now we can also look at these numbers. Like this is an even number and it's a small one, so we know it's going to be 2. finishes in 5, so it's a multiple of 5. So 5 should be the answer. So it's kind of easy to see also how to find these numbers. Okay, the next one is the cubic root of 64. So again, which number multiplied by itself 3 times gives me 64? And we already said it when we were looking at the answer for this one. We said it. The answer is 4. Why? Because 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. Now we have a negative radicand, so we have to give a negative answer because 3 negatives gives me a negative answer. In this case, the answer is going to be negative 3 because negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9 and positive 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Let's move on to the next one. Now we have the fourth root of 16. So which number multiplied by itself 4 times gives us 16? So in this case, it's going to be 2 again. So notice these two have the same answer. They are the same thing. Because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 4 times, is 16. So the answer is 2. In this case, the fourth root of 81 is 3 because of the same. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81. And finally, 32, the root is 2. Now, another way to do this is also just to factorize. So, for example, 32, I'm going to get half of that, which is 16, then half of that, which is 8, then half of that, which is 4, half of that, which is 2, and 2 is 1. How many 2's do we have? 5. So, that's what we're looking. Which number multiplied by itself 5 times gives me 32? The answer is 2. Very, very simple. Now, these ones you don't have to memorize, but the more and the more you do these kind of exercises, the more familiar you will become, and you will know these by memory as well. Now, remember that when we solve something like this, we have to pass the square to get the square root because that is the opposite operation. And we have to consider the positive and the negative answer. Why? Because we're saying that this question is saying which number multiplied by itself 2 times gives us 4. And if I multiply positive 2 times positive 2, that's 4. But also if I multiply negative 2 times negative 2, that's also 4. So the answer would be a positive and a negative answer. And that's what's happening here. What they're saying is consider both of them. Consider the positive answer and consider the negative answer. So let's simplify this. Negative 2 squared without a parenthesis is negative 4, plus negative 3 squared in a parenthesis is positive 9. And then we have the plus or minus square root of 4, which is 2. Now we're going to do negative 4 plus 9, which is 5. And we have the plus or minus 2. Then from here, we're going to get 2 answers, 5 plus 2 and 5 minus 2. 5 plus 2 is 7 and 5 minus 2 is 3. And these two would be our answers. And that's it. Very simple lesson. Go do your practice, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.